Tepu, Namaste, Heru Nefer, Assalamu Alaikum. This is Gasak Ma Keperu with another video for you, and this one is going to be an introduction to divination. Now, what is divination? Well, divination is the practice of tapping into God consciousness or God's wisdom to help guide you in your life decisions. Now, this video specifically is going to deal with just the introduction, going over or getting an overview of the different types of oracles, what divination is, how you can use it in your life. In subsequent videos, I'll get more into detail about how you do an oracle reading, what oracles are best for you to use, and after you take those videos, or I should say watch those videos, you'll be able to start doing readings on your own, and once you do that, you'll find that your life will be enhanced because you'll be tapping into divine wisdom to guide you in all of your decision making. Now, divination is a very, very ancient practice. It goes back thousands and thousands of years, and our ancestors practiced this in the very, very early stages of their development. Now, I can't get into what was the very first oracle. And you may have heard the term oracle from The Matrix or other Hollywood films. Unfortunately, that term has been used and kind of dumbed down to the idea of fortune telling or predicting the future. Now, divination and the various oracles are much more than that. Yes, they can predict the future. Some oracles are better at it than others. But what they're really good at is to give you divine guidance and wisdom. That's really what it's about, because it would be unfair of God, Neter, Yahweh, to place us here on this earth, Gaia, Geb, and not give us some guidance on how to deal with this fourth dimensional plane. I mean, there's all kinds of natural disasters, there's hurricanes, tidal wave, floods, tornadoes, and the whole gamut. So tapping into God's wisdom to guide us in understanding how this universe works is only fair. Now, when we talk about divination and getting wisdom, let's not look at it from the left brain perspective. Left brain is concrete thinking, segregative thinking, which tends to think linearly, which is why a lot of left brain people want to know what the future is. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to know what the future is. But the idea here is that we have to understand the Tao, or the Tao. Now, you've heard that in Chinese philosophy, meaning the way. What we're looking to understand is not right and wrong, because those are relative ideas. What we're understanding is, how do we align ourselves with the universal forces so that we're in harmony? That's what we're looking for. In short, how do we align ourselves with the Tao? This way it ensures our success. Because in most Western religions, their idea and criteria to get to heaven is that you have to always be doing the right thing. Well, that's a given. God expects you to do that. But what God doesn't expect you to do on your own is to align yourself with universal forces so you live in harmony with them. And that's Ma'at, the goddess Ma'at, truth, justice, righteousness, reciprocity, balance, the law. And for this, you either need someone who has incarnated many, many times so that they have gained wisdom over several lifetimes, such as a sage, to impart that wisdom onto you. Or if you don't happen to have a sage in your village, in your town, in your city, then you would go directly to the oracles themselves, which is just a tool to tap into God consciousness or God's divine wisdom, Tahuti, or thought. You've seen Tahuti as the ibis bird. Sometimes the hieroglyphics depict Tahuti as the baboon. And Tahuti also symbolizes your higher consciousness. When you go before the scales of justice, Ma'at scales of justice, Tahuti is the scribe writing things down to ensure that you abide by your pre-life agreement. As I said before, there are many, many oracles, all right, that you can get involved with. But the one thing I want to stress is, no matter what religion you get involved with, I personally would not follow any minister or any priest or head of a covenant if they don't practice divination. Because divination will expose things. It will expose wrongdoers, it will expose infidelity, it will expose robbery, thieves, things of that nature. Which is why in the early days it was done away with. And why now we find that our government is now riddled with criminals. Whereas if you look back in ancient cultures, they were based on high moral principles. And we didn't find that type of corruption that we find now in those ancient cultures. That was because the oracle binded the community together, binded the nation, the tribe together, and that they adhered to the word of God, which is the oracle. You see, the word of God or the truth cannot be put into a book, because Ma'at and the truth, Ma'at says to understand the truth, you have to live life and gain an understanding from truth, because it is a relational experience. And Ma'at symbolizes things that are relational, such as you saying, well, you should not kill, or thou should not kill. Well, there are times when you must kill in self-defense. It's okay to do that there. But let us say, for example, someone committed a murder, and we are debating whether or not the murder was justified. The person said they committed the murder to defend themselves. Others say that they committed the murder out of anger and jealousy because they found that their lover was cheating. Who knows the truth? Neither I or you would know the truth, because we have our left brain, which we cannot see the bigger picture. We don't know all the circumstances leading up to that person committing the act. But an oracle, which taps into higher consciousness, can reveal the truth of the situation, which is why in ancient Kemet or Egypt and in most native cultures, the oracle was used in the court system to determine not only guilt or innocence, but to determine what punishment should be put in place or inflicted. And most times, as I said before, it wasn't about punishment, but it was about bringing things back into balance, into order. You see, the right brain will look at a situation and say, why did this person commit this act? There must be something in the whole or with society that has done wrong to bring this person to the verge of committing this horrific act. And when the right brain looks at that, it looks at the cause and not just the symptoms or the effect. So you get to a greater understanding, and you get to fix it on a permanent basis rather than putting a band-aid on it, just like putting someone in jail. And we see what's going on now with the prison industrial complex, where we're just, incarcerating people in record numbers. There's so many men incarcerated, more than some third world countries. This is because not only are some of them innocent, but some of them are incarcerated for years for non-violent offenses. Is that right? We have to go to an oracle to tell us that. But again, the ruling elite has done away with oracles, so that a president is elected through consensus of the large number of the group. So in other words, might makes right, and that's totally incorrect. That's against Ma'at, because might does not make right, no matter how many people say it so. If the oracle says the opposite, then the oracle is true, because it is the word of God. Because the word cannot be written in a book. So anyway, if you want to start out, I want to recommend a couple of books for you. This one is The Oracles of the Ancient World. And I think this is a really good book to start out. And it goes over the Oracle of Delphi and other oracles. It's actually wonderful. So if you get an opportunity, let me see if I can pronounce the author, Trevor Cornell, and you can probably get this on Amazon, okay, Oracles of the Ancient World. Another good reference, which is more a pictorial book, is this one, which is Art and Oracle, and this goes over the African art and rituals of divination. And Divination was not just something of going to a diviner, but it was an entire ritualistic experience. So it was very interesting. And we could talk about the many oracles like the Ifa, the Meduniter, the I-Ching, the Tarot, and what else are there? The runes, and then you have crystal oracles. So there's so many, and what you'll need to do is explore them and pick one that's that you feel comfortable with. I mean, I can guide you on some. Here is an oracle system called the Isis Oracle, and I'm not too keen on this one, but I'll show you. And usually the oracle systems are created by spiritual men and women. Here's a book that goes over everything, and this oracle system is composed of cards, and they're ancient Egyptian or Kemetic cards, and they're actually kind of beautiful. You'll see them, and they have all types of great artwork on them. And each one has a name and it has a meaning. And when you, let's say for example, basically what you do is you would pick a card, like I'm doing now. It'd be interesting to see what I get, and then you would read it, and it would say, this one says Divine Sisterhood, and then you go to the book and you read the interpretation. Community of the spiritual sisters and brothers of the light. So remember I was talking about community and getting guidance and light. There we go, an appropriate card. So that's basically oracles work in that way, you know what I mean? So the Isis Oracle is something to start with. But the one that I really recommend that you can start with, and that's easy, and it's more, now this is more a spiritual oracle because it's going to give you information and guidance on performing a ritual, using talismans, and things of that nature. You can start with the basic tarot. This is a very good book because it makes it really plain and simple, as the title refers to. And it goes over the tarot. The best tarot that you can get, hold on one second, is the Rider-Waite deck, okay? And that is probably the most popular deck of tarot cards. Here's another set of tarot cards, and this is Egyptian as well, and it's based on the Rider-Waite tarot deck, and it has hieroglyphics, deities on here, and everything. I make sure I'm turning so you can see. That's Heru, and you have pentacles here. And this is the Chariot. Turn the Chariot. Okay. So I'll get more into detail, Heru again, with the crook. Alright. I'll get more into detail as to how to use the oracles and what each card means later. This is the Queen of Pentacles. Alright. And Pentacles is an earth energy. Okay. And don't worry, I'll explain that in, like I said, subsequent videos. So let's take a look at another one, which is, this is the Rider-Waite tarot deck. That's the Devil card. And that's the Fool reverse. Now, each card has a meaning, whether it's straight up or reversed, and you interpret it. And again, the very basic thing you would do is you would shuffle these cards, and then you would end up picking one. And then you could read the interpretation. Oh, Three of Swords, broken heart. So that means that someone has gone through a relationship or a type of union that didn't work out for them. Now, one very advanced oracle, which incorporates mantras, words of power, or hakao, as we call it in ancient Kemetic culture, is the Meduniter. So I recommend you get the Meduniter Volume 1. And this book really brings it all into focus on how to use the oracle, spiritual culture, and things like that. It really actually decodes spiritual cultures that the Christians call pagan, and really gives you the proper perspective and interpretation of what was going on with these so-called pagan civilizations. And what you'll find is that they weren't worshippers of animals or the sun or many deities, but it breaks it down, the Meduniter breaks it down into a science, and you'll see that our ancestors were very scientific and logical in their perspective. Here is the Meduniter cards, and you'll see that they Sorry, I had it upside down. These are read straight up. There's no reverse. You'll see this one has Oset or Isis, you know, and that's Neb-Het. That's psychic energy. That's Sekert, the deity Sekert, which is similar to Ptah. And that's Ma'at. Now, as I said before, when I work with people, you know, spiritualists and things of that nature, if they don't use divination or live by an oracle system, I don't want to work with them, because man or woman is fallible. And unless you reach a high degree of sagehood or spiritualism or become a Shechem, that's a person of great power, then you're going to be susceptible to disseminating false information based on your own bias, perspective, and interpretation. Because emotions can come into a situation. So when you're dealing with a preacher and he's asking you for $60 million to buy a new jet, well, you go to the oracle and you do an oracle reading and say, should I give to this preacher? Is this preacher righteous? And the oracle will let you know. And many times when I was in priesthood and I asked my Kemetic priest, what should I do? His response was, do a reading. Because you don't want to take my word, you want to do a reading and find out because the oracle knows you. God knows you. God knows what you need and what you don't need. Man does not know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Another oracle you want to get is this ancient oracle of the I-Ching. This is a Chinese oracle system, and this book is fantastic. It's by Wilhelm and Baines. And the I-Ching, again, is a very old oracle system that used to use Yahweh sticks, and basically you would have these sticks and you would pull one, and then depending on its length and whatnot, you would do an interpretation based on trigrams and hexagrams. And then in them there were certain lines within the hexagrams where it will give you an interpretation that was applicable to you only and no one else. You understand what I'm saying? Because now we're getting into high science, and this is all based on math. There are 64 hexagrams. And there's been a lot of research and work done on the I-Ching. It has helped many people in certain predictions, but mainly it is a guidance on how to live spiritually. And there's a lot of Chinese philosophy in there, a lot of symbolisms, a lot of metaphors, and it's a wealth of information. And I highly recommend that you get the Wilhelm Baines I-Ching and start looking into it and working with it, because it will enhance your life. And I can't tell you how many times I've gotten jobs or walked away from jobs that would have been terrible for me based on the oracle reading. Now, you're not tied to the oracle reading. If an oracle tells you to do something, you have a free will. You don't have to do it. It's up to you. But I recommend that you do follow the advice of the oracle, because you'll find that if you do follow the advice, it's a win-win situation. You can't lose by following the advice. By not following the advice, you're like rolling the dice and seeing what happens, So those are a start to understanding divination. Explore different oracles that I've mentioned here, see what you're comfortable with, and there's many more out there. Like I said, you can go to the runes if you want, the Ifa oracle, and if those resonate with you, start using them. And in the other videos, I'll dive into those and how to use them. But for now, this is just an introduction, overall view of the oracle system. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And until my next broadcast, this is Kasant Ma Keperu, and Amen Ra.